Well, boys and girls, it's that time again. It's time for the Successful Home Inspector Show, where we're here to share some funny home inspection stories, maybe some funny things that you found, how to increase your business. We're going to hear some success stories, maybe some stories that weren't so successful. Maybe we can learn from them. And we're going to share some resources here with you that help increase your business, and we're hoping to help raise the level of the industry as well. So sit back, and here's your host for the Successful Home Inspector Show, Preston Sandlin. Thanks a lot. Are you struggling to make your home inspection business grow? Well, have I got the answer for you. HomeInspectionFlyers.com. At HomeInspectionFlyers.com, you get 5 flyers a month. There are 3 sales flyers and 2 recipe flyers. And you can customize them to exactly what you want. And these make great flyers when you go to the offices to put in their boxes, especially if you're doing like candy bowls or something along that nature. Like I said, it's 5 flyers a month for $29.99, and they're very creative. And you just put in your information. They come as a publisher file, and you just put in your information, and then you send them off to get printed. You can send them off online, and you can get color copies for less than 10 cents a copy. It's a great way to go. I went from being a 1-man home inspection firm to a 7-man home inspection firm on this one strategy alone. So try it today. HomeInspectionFlyers.com. Thanks.
Hello out there in the home inspection world. I've got to come up with a better intro. Well, I am here, guys. You guys are in for a treat today. I have a special guest today. I've known this gentleman quite a while. He used to have a school. I'll let him tell you more about that. And I think they sold that to Kaplan, and then he did the inspection show out in Vegas for years. And this is where I first met Kevin. They put on a great show, and they really have these cool go-kart races. And Kevin is a great go-kart driver, by the way. So anyway, I went back and practiced. I wanted to win. He had some great prizes too. But Kevin O'Malley has been around for a long time. He's been an inspector. He's a great guy. He now has a new product. It's called Homeowners Network, and we'll definitely dive into that. It's an awesome product. But without further ado, I'm interviewing Kevin O'Malley. So, Kevin, tell us a little bit more about you. We'd like to get to know you personally.
Hi, Preston. Thanks for having me on. What exactly would you like to know? Oh, my God.
Well, start at the beginning.
Start at the beginning.
Just tell us kind of, where you grew up and how you got into home inspection, that sort of thing, and, sort of how you passed, how you got to where you are today.
Okay.
In 2 minutes or less.
Well, then we better not go back to where I grew up. We'll start around the inspection time. I am and was an inspector. Probably did around 6,000 myself, and my company did about 10,000. This was back in the old days, in the 80s, when inspections first began. I actually got involved in the inspection industry because of the Easton versus Strasburger case.
Oh, wow.
You know about that one?
No, enlighten us.
Well, you should. Actually, every inspector should know of that case, because that is the seed that created the inspection industry. It was a landmark lawsuit in California, and you can look it up. It's Easton versus Strasburger.
Okay.
And basically it was a seller selling a property. The seller and his real estate agent covered up structural defects with the property.
Okay.
And then when the buyer moved in, they had a lot of problems and sued the seller and the real estate agent, and they won in court. And the judge thought that the decision was so important, and it became a law in California that agents had to disclose, sellers and agents had to disclose whatever they knew about properties. So right at that same time, the California Association of Realtors changed their purchase agreement to include the question, do you want a home inspection? So I was in business the year before that happened, you can imagine there was probably 6 of us in Southern California, 6 home inspectors trying to sell inspections to real estate offices, and nobody wanted to know us. And then, there's 500,000 homes sold in California each year. The following year, when that disclosure law went into effect and they changed the purchase agreement to include the home inspection clause, business went through the roof. So that was the beginning of disclosure laws in the nation. And that's basically what got me into business and excited about it. I was riding a rocket ship, basically.
What year was this, Kevin?
I was in business about 84, 85. When disclosure was I think the Strasburger case was right around there.
Okay.
We could look that up. But so that was an exciting time. And there was only, actually, ASHI was really small. The American Society of Home Inspectors was super small. It was like 500 on the East Coast. And CREA, the California Association, was small, probably 300-400, maybe not even that many in California. And then disclosure laws started to hit all over the country, and inspections grew like crazy. And that's when I saw the opportunity to create a school. So I actually created the first licensed home inspection schools in the country, and they were called Inspection Training Associates.
Yeah, ITA, right? ITA.
Yep.
I remember that.
And I ran those all the way up until about 2003. And just like every entrepreneur's dream, sold that business, and I sold it to Kaplan. It's still around, and they're doing well, making a comeback after the big recession we all just went through.
Right.
And so I was off actually from about 2003 until, I worked for Kaplan for a couple of years, and then I was off until about 2008.
Okay.
And at the end of 2008, Mike Casey and I started Casey O'Malley Associates, and actually started doing the conferences again, inspectionconference.com. It was actually the ITA conference.
Right.
Yeah. So that conference, in its heyday, became one of the largest conferences in the nation. As a matter of fact, one year I know we were the largest conference. We had about, 1,500 inspectors come, and they were mostly all of our graduates from ITA classes.
Yeah, I went one year. It was at was it the Palazzo or something? Man.
Yeah, that was actually right. That was actually the first year that Mike and I came back and started doing it.
Man, that was awesome. That room, I tell people, that was the nicest room. You must have got something only like $125. I had remote control curtains.
Oh, that's a great hotel. Yeah, there's always a balance in trying to get a great hotel with good space for the conference rooms and for the exhibit hall, and also the price of the rooms. So, but that was the best hotel ever, the Palazzo.
Sure. So bring us forward. How did you get from there to Homeowners Network?
Well, we actually started another school. We helped. We started the ASHI school, and then sold to them. And during that, those conferences and those times, that was like 2009, 2010. I met a great guy, Dominic, with Home Inspector Pro, and I said to Dominic, I would really love to create a website to provide technical support to inspectors. Because one of the things that I know from 20 years of teaching classes is that students and home inspectors in the field need somebody to ask questions of. I mean, you're walking around the house, you're like, you're on a deserted island sometimes. And if you see something that you just don't recognize, who do you ask? So Dominic was clever enough to say, well, you know what, we need to make an app for that. And So he came up with a smartphone app for home inspectors. And it's actually, the website is HON Professional, that's HON Professional.com. But that was the first version of the app. And there's probably, I just looked the other day, there's about 2,500 inspectors who have that app on their phone nationwide.
Oh, okay.
And rather than make it a telephone call or just a website, it's a smartphone app. And as you're walking around the house, if you, as an inspector, saw something you didn't recognize, it's real simple. You just pull out your phone, select the category, plumbing, heating, electric. Then you can type or talk in your question. And the app will automatically open your camera, so you can take a picture or video of the issue, and you send that off. And within 15 to 30 minutes, typically, we get a response back to you. So
yeah, I think my guys have it. They love it. They love it. It takes some of the calls off me. So they used to always call me.
Yeah, and you know what? We've got
a presentation or something. I can't call them right back. You know.
Right. And we've literally got the best experts in the country looking at those photographs and questions that are coming in, and you know it was working really well. We started that about 3 years ago, and every time somebody else would see that app, they'd say, "Wow, that's really simple. That's really elegant." And so we then thought, well, what about homeowners? Where does a homeowner get their questions answered?
Right.
And, you know, you can Google everything, obviously. All of us Google stuff. We probably spend too much time Googling stuff. and then your response, you know, the answers that come up, do they actually relate to your situation? So then you've got to spend all the time going into all the websites or onto YouTube and actually looking at that issue and seeing if it relates to your issue. So we thought homeowners would benefit from the service, and that's where the Homeowners Network came from. We created a lot what we called originally live technical support for your home.
Right.
And we we made the app a little bit different, made it so that it can brand the inspector or the real estate agent who gives it to the homeowner. So now the homeowner opens up their app to ask a question, and they see their real estate agent or they see their home inspector's name on it. And then everything about the service was about helping homeowners care for their homes, and that's kind of where it came from.
Cool. All right. Well, let me role play here for a second. Let's say that my wife, you know, obviously love her to death. Maybe not the most technically house savvy. And let's say I'm not around. I'm not in the picture. And she buys a home. She has this app. And, you know, let's say the air conditioning, something, you know, I got this complaint today. Well, I went out and looked at it. It wasn't. Anyway, it keeps getting dusty in their house. I mean, now you know and I know probably what that is. But how does she handle it? Every time she turns on the system, she's vacuuming every other day. So all right, so she's got a problem. She's got this app. How does it work?
Well, she's if there's actually something that she's looking at, then she can take a photograph of it. The app will automatically open her camera and attach any photos to her question. But it's very simple. She just clicks open the app, selects a category, and probably heating, air conditioning, interior, or other. You know, you're not sure what category it fits in. And then you type in your question. Hey, every day I'm turn on the air conditioner or heater, and there's dust everywhere. What the heck's going on? And then our guys will start to correspond with her and help her understand how to either correct or what the situation might be, and if she needs anybody else to help her. So,
cool. And what's the response time on that?
We are typically around 15 to 25 minutes.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
Yeah. It's almost we'd like it to be like you're texting. And obviously, there's questions coming in. We're now closing in on 200,000 members nationwide where we're answering questions. So, but we're adding experts all the time, and we're always worried about providing the best and fastest service possible.
Yeah, I'm seeing where this could provide two big benefits for a home inspector. First, it's something they can offer, which is value added to their client. And then second, it might take some of those questions or some of the, like that particular question, you could probably answer it versus them calling the home inspector who's, in the middle of on top of a roof or something. And, it seems to me like a double barrel benefit there for me.
There were a couple of things that I saw as benefits. Probably the major benefit, two major benefits. One, as you said, lots of inspectors are adding value to their service. So, and they're looking for unique selling propositions or proposals. And so this adds something unique for them to give to their clients with every inspection. So they give them a membership in the homeowners network. And then the other thing that I know for a fact is the vast majority of inspectors, let's just say real estate professionals, including real estate agents, loan brokers, home inspectors, all of us seem to forget the value of the referral. And
right.
by that I mean we're always chasing the next deal. So we're trying to get the next inspection, thinking, I gotta get that from the next person buying a house, either from a real estate agent or from wherever it might be. And you forget that all of those past inspections that you did are big potential referral base. That's a big potential referral base for you.
Right.
If you could increase that base, those referrals coming from, if you just increased them 10%, your business would go up tremendously. And so everything that we do with the Homeowners Network is branded to the inspector. When your clients log on to our website, thehomeownersnetwork.com, they see your inspection information on there.
Right. So that's gonna give you more referrals, and you're in there. The touches. You're getting another touch every time.
Exactly. And then once a month we send out a newsletter, and the newsletter is all about taking care of your house and tips, and that's got your picture and your information on it. And when they open the app, they see your picture and information on it. So everything's branded back to the professional who gave that homeowner their membership.
Cool. Kevin, do you have any training on how to use the products, or also maybe training on how I love all my brethren, but we might need a little help in how we're going to present this to the client. You have any training or plan to have any training along those lines?
Every conference we've been at, we do training there. There's a number of videos online on how to use it, and we've got our office set up to take inspectors through the whole system anytime they sign up. So we're ready to provide the live support on every part of the service, whether it be a homeowner using it or a home inspector setting up their profile so that their pictures and logos all come up right. And on the inspector headquarters, there's marketing materials and logos and websites and all kinds of stuff, banners for your website and videos for your website. So,
cool.
Yeah, it's fully set up, man. It's ready to go.
Nice. All right, Kevin. Well, we're going to change gears here just a little bit because, I'm all about getting the human story in here. Do you have a success quote you could share with us?
A success quote?
Or a quote? Quote. I can come back to that question if you want to think about it. Or a favorite quote. You have a favorite quote that you like? Or?
Well, I think where I'm at these days is I've been watching a lot of stuff from Simon Sinek, And he is all about a positive world and a positive attitude and helping people be motivated to be their best and to, so I think one of the things he said was, imagine a world where trust and loyalty are the norm instead of the exception.
Cool. How do you spell his name? I'll check him out.
Sinek, Simon Sinek, Sinek. And actually, he was a speaker on one thing that I love to watch is TED. I don't know if you watch any of
TED Talks
videos on TED.com. Yep.
Love TED Talks.
So he's got a talk on there, which is a great talk.
Oh, I'll look that up. Yeah, I love TED Talks. What is it? Ideas worth listening to, or something like that. It's all good stuff. They have a podcast too.
Yes.
Yeah, if you get, I want to tell everybody, by the way, you can listen to us now on Stitcher Radio, and we should be on iTunes soon. It was submitted. But we are on Stitcher, so you can put the Successful Home Inspector podcast and then get TED right after that. But put ours on top. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
All right, Kevin.
I was thinking about this for you, and it would be cool if you could go back and find some of the longtime old inspectors and try to do a little bit of historical recording.
Oh, yeah.
You know
that
what
would
I mean?
be cool. I might enlist your help on that.
Why? Because I'm old?
No. Well, you're telling me about the court case that started the whole thing. Maybe I can go find that lawyer. No, I'm just kidding. No, that's great stuff. And, there's hopefully a lot of listeners out there that we need to know that. We need to know where we've come and where we're going.
I think everybody should know their history. You should know why your industry is there and what you're doing and what you're satisfying. I mean, disclosure is what our industry is all about.
Absolutely.
It's not just nitpicking houses. It's trying to help everybody stay out of trouble.
That's right. Well, Kevin, what do you like to do in your spare time?
Well, these days I'm really a big music fan. I love live music. I also do some artwork. I know you do artwork. I've watched a lot of the stuff that you put up on Facebook, and your work is incredible. I got to say.
Thanks. What medium do you use? What type? Oil, watercolor? What do you?
These, when I get time, and it's usually when I'm down in Costa Rica, but when I get time, I do like chalk work.
Okay.
And then the funny part is lately I've been doing some tempera paint work.
I've messed with that a little bit. Good
stuff.
Where's your
my real medium used to be black and white, pen and ink.
Oh, nice. And you have to excuse my ADD. I'm all over the place. Where in Costa? You guys have a house in Costa Rica, right? Whereabouts in Costa Rica?
We're on a beach in a little town called Playa Zancudo.
Is that Caribbean or Pacific side?
That is on the Pacific side, and it's our house looks at the mouth of the bottom Gulf.
Okay.
And we're 45 minutes drive from the Panama border. So, and I've
had
that for like 20 something years.
Nice. We went spring break 2 years ago, and we did a little bit of everything. We went and saw what's the volcano, the active volcano.
Volcano Arenal.
Yep, Arenal. And then we rented a car. I mean, we drove. Oh my gosh, the roads! I love Costa Rica, but the roads. Woohoo! And we went to the beach. I cannot think of the name of the beach right now. It was on the Pacific side, but beautiful, awesome, and the people of Costa Rica are so nice. But I do remember one thing, speaking of being on the coast of Nicaragua, we ate at this restaurant. I know I'm getting way off here, but it's a good story. It was a huge airplane, and it was like the bar was the cockpit, and you know what that airplane was? It was a Faircloth 110 or something like that. It was one of the two planes that was used in the Iran-Contra thing. You remember the whole Oliver North thing?
Really? Wow, yeah, I do.
That was used to I forget what exactly the trade was going down for hostages.
Mm-hmm.
And, whatever.
You don't remember? You don't remember what beach that was on?
I will find out. It's oh my gosh, it's a restaurant now. I will find out. It's a restaurant. I'll go back.
Do, because I would go visit it. I mean,
it was awesome.
That's my second home, so I've been down there so many times.
Yeah,
most of the time I'm down there this time of year. So I'm usually down there in December, January, February, because that's the best weather this time of year. But Homeowners Network's been growing so fast that I actually moved to Atlanta.
Right.
That's where our main sales offices are. So.
Cool. Well, speaking of that, and you've probably already kind of answered this question, but tell me why I should buy your product. Is it going to save me time, money, and is it going to give me an advantage over my competition?
Well, I would say the last part of it, I don't think it's going to save you. Well, you know what? It might save you time. It could very well save you time on answering those questions that you really don't need to answer. I mean, we're not there designed to take care of home inspection questions.
Right.
So those we actually push to the home inspector. If they're asking us a question about their inspection, which they normally don't because they're usually in their house a month or two after the inspection is already done. But if they did ask us a home inspection question, we push it back to the inspector. But most of the time they're asking us just maintenance questions, repair questions, those kinds of things. So that would save you time, you and your business time.
Sure.
Yeah, and money, not sure if it would save you money, but certainly our service saves our members money.
Right.
Because that's one of the things that we've done with the Homeowners Network is we're probably closing in on 200 major companies that give our members discounts on the things that they need. And they need to know that. I mean, we've got probably close to the best Penske truck discount.
Okay.
So if your clients are moving and they're going to get a pods container or they're going to use budget truck, we've got discounts on all those things. So It's good for them to know that. So it does save your clients money. So that's a good USP.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm gonna mix it up here a little bit, Kevin.
Sure.
Sorry to hit you with these.
You are. You're moving all around.
keep y'all centered. Tell me something most people don't know about you, or something people don't know about you.
Well, the Costa Rica thing probably was one of those things. I spend my time down there working on our services and our creative part of the business.
Yeah, you're a motorcycle.
And I do artwork down there too.
Cool.
You're right. That's probably another thing that a lot of people don't know about me is I do. My wife and I both have motorcycles, so we both ride.
Cool. I'm gonna hook up with you one day not that far away.
You are not.
No, I need to get my tags. Actually, I'm probably going to get a letter here from the state if I don't get my tags renewed here pretty soon. Just that made me think of it. All right. Well, Kevin, as well as I do, if you do enough inspections, you're going to have an unhappy camper. When you had your inspection company, how did you handle an unhappy camper? Did you have a process, and what did that look like?
Yeah, I'm a big believer in going at it as fast and as quick as you can. I would like to handle those things personally. If the inspector was available and we could both go out and talk to the client, then I would do that. But I always believed that personal attention and service was the best. If they had a complaint or a problem, I wanted to satisfy it as fast as I could. And I heard Dan's Dan Huber's interview, I have the exact same feeling as his. That money that I might have spent to satisfy that client, I always moved that money into my marketing category or my promotion category on my budget, on my bottom line, because I felt that, the money spent taking care of the client, I would then make sure that the real estate agent knew that I did that and that their client was happy, and it went a long way. So
right. No, I'm totally with you. I think that's brilliant. And I've heard it phrased. Every problem is an opportunity, and you got to look at it that way.
Hey, home inspectors out there, I'm going to tell you a creative, inexpensive way to increase your business massively. Go to homeinspectionflyers.com and get the flyers. You get 5 flyers a month. You customize them to yourself. They're turnkey, they're creative, and it's $29 a month for 5 flyers. That's less than $6 a flyer. And they are done by yours truly, Preston Sandlin. And I am a creative guy, especially when I don't take my medication. But I come up with some crazy stuff. It works for my business. I went from 1 inspector to 7 inspectors with this strategy alone. So again, for $29.95, you get 5 flyers. I do 1 per week. I send them off to get copied on the internet. I can get them for about 7 cents a piece, and I put them out in the boxes when I do my candy run. Works fantastic. homeinspectionflyers.com. Thanks.
Well, Kevin, this is a great spot here to pause for. Here, let me
go ahead. Yeah, go ahead and start it up and ask it.
All right. Well, we are back here with Kevin, and we'll continue on with the interview. Kevin, tell us about a time when you failed. Take us there. And what did you learn from it?
Gosh. Well, if you want a very specific time, it was when I was a contractor. And actually, I used to do custom homes. And it was in a bad time in the real estate market. And
right.
I built a really nice spec home and thought I had it sold, and it didn't sell. And then it was months later that we, came out of the whole thing, and I had lost a whole bunch of money.
Right.
And, way more. I lost the money that I owed, basically. So I was in debt, and I owed more money.
Right.
And it just. I think what I learned from it was that you just got to keep going.
Right.
Any loss is not the end of your life. A loss is a loss in business and everything else. As long as your life and your health and you've got your family, you just keep going and you keep moving on. And so that just helped me to create a bigger resolve in my entrepreneurial life. I've always been an entrepreneur, and I'm used to failing. Not every one of my business ideas or plans works, but I go at it. I go at it every day that I need to make the decisions, and I'm going to hope that 51% of the time I'm correct. And so being strong enough and making the decisions every day is probably the biggest thing I learned, that I got to make the decisions. I got to take the chances, and I got to keep going whether I win or lose. So
that is great stuff. And you don't even, if you're batting 51%, that's great. I mean, even if you get 3 out of 10, 30%, you'll be in the Hall of Fame. And I'm the same way. You gotta, I've heard you gotta have 7 failures before you have a success. So get to failing. Get to work. Get right away.
Absolutely. So many no's before you get the yes.
I'm almost there.
Yep.
On the other end of the spectrum, do you have an I made it moment? Or, I know we're never completely satisfied, but do you have a moment where you're like, wow, I've come a long way?
Yeah, I you know what? I think I have that. And I don't know that it's I made it moment. That probably was, the sale of Inspection Training Associates. That was probably a business I made it moment, but a personal I made it moment is whenever I see an inspector who took one of my classes or came to our conference, and they come to me and say thanks or tell me their success story and give me some kind of credit for that happening. Awesome. That's when I really think I made it. I made a difference. So
that's awesome. I got quit. I don't have to steal your thunder, but I used to be a school teacher, and there's, believe it or not, and it was a long story. When I was in college, kindergarten cop came out. It's not a tumor. But anyway, I taught for 3 years. I taught elementary. I was kindergarten cop. But my point with all this is several of my former students, they're all like in their late 20s now, are actually friending me on Facebook. And every once in a while, they'll, like one day there was something about who was your best teacher ever. And a couple of my students put me and tagged me on it. So I knew it was me. And I only taught for 3 years. And that was awesome, man. And, we're talking, 18 years ago. And, that was sort of an I made it moment for me, where I made a difference, maybe. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think that even that feels better than you actually made it yourself, is when somebody else says you helped me make it.
Yeah. Here I go with my ADD. It's kind of like that. You ever seen that movie, Mr. Holland's Opus? Awesome movie.
Yes.
Movie. Where, the whole time he's wanting to write this masterpiece. He's a serious musician, but he never can get to it because he's always teaching. And he thought he never did, write the masterpiece, but really the masterpiece was all the students that, he made a difference in their life. And anyway, not to get all mushy, but, that's I should change that question to "I made a difference" moment, because that was.
Well, I think there's both. I mean, in your personal business life, every one of us obviously loves successes. We love it when 1 month increases over the next in revenue, or for me, that whole rocket ride of building Inspection Training Associates, being part of the inspection industry, it was a big deal in my life. When I first saw home inspections, was a real estate agent called me in. I was a custom home builder, and I had become friends with a real estate agent. He was the one who called me into his office and said, "Hey, Kevin, take a look at this article. The California Association of Realtors is going to add the clause, do you want a home inspection, into their purchase agreement, and that's going to really make this business go boom." Well, I knew, I felt that, and I knew that was going to be something important. So that was going to be a change that was going to create a trend. But the one thing that I said to myself, which I actually did, and I feel good about that, is I said, I want to make a difference. Cool. I want to affect the inspection industry.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I think you have. I've heard a lot of people say good things about you, Kevin. So I think you have.
Thanks.
Do you have a favorite book you could recommend to our listeners? And what is it about the book that appeals to you?
Oh gosh. Well, I love the E-Myth. That's been one of my favorite books for a long time. As a matter of fact, when I was president of the California Inspector Association, I actually got to meet Michael Gerber because he came to one of our conferences and spoke there. And so the E-Myth is now it's, what is it, E-Myth revised or revisited?
Revisited, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, but that's an old book. So that's one of my favorites. There's a number of others, but.
Oh yeah, that's good stuff. All right, now I'm trying to keep y'all balanced here. Tell me about, is there any way you're thinking about improving your products or services in the future?
Oh, all the time. That's my day-to-day job, is to just imagine how we can add to or create more or provide better value for everybody that we do business with. And so I think the latest thing that we just did, which is really cool, is we have an actual recall alerts program built into the homeowners network. which allows members to enter all their own appliances and get immediate recall information and then monitor everything in the house from, their refrigerators to their stoves to their furnaces to their TVs and laptops. So that's one of the things we added. And and then the latest thing I just told you about was the emergency hotline. So we're adding all kinds of things, many things.
Cool. Well, on that note, that leads into my next question. We've talked a lot about the history of home inspection, and you've been right there every step of the way. What better person to tell us, or I know you don't have a crystal ball, but how do you think home inspections will change in the future?
Well, I've been watching them change over 30 years, and I think that the big shops are becoming more and more prevalent. I think that there's, and I hate to say this, but I think that there's some smarter individuals like yourself and people who are understanding the marketing better, understanding the training of their guys better, understanding how to put better systems together. Like the ISN systems are great to manage your company and software. So I think that we're starting to see bigger companies take larger market shares. Whereas in the beginning, especially when I was running all of the classes, and we do probably a dozen classes a month in 5 or 6 locations around the country. Right. And virtually every person coming in obviously was a single person shop looking to start their own business. Right. Now I think there's a lot of opportunity for employment, meaning inspectors can go to classes, learn to do an inspection, and then they don't necessarily have to set up their own business to have a career in the inspection industry. They can go to somebody like you and create a long-term secure career. And that's probably the focus that needs to be looked at by the big company owners like you is how do I create a career opportunity for these guys, not just a job, but something that they're going to feel secure with and want to stay with me.
Sure. Well,
so.
and I think you're right. When I first got into it 15 years ago, it was predominantly single man. And there's nothing wrong. I know there's a lot of single man operations out there, and there's nothing wrong. And there's days I think, man, I wish I was back there because I had a lot less headaches. But Kevin, I think there's 3 parts to this business. There's the technical, doing the inspections. There's the marketing, which you've got to do to keep the business coming in. And there's the administrative or back end, you've got to have scheduling. You've got to have, all the questions that are going to, they're going to be sitting at the closing table and they don't have an invoice or a termite, whatever. So you've got to have an administrative component. And it's very hard to do all 3 when you're a one-man shop. Unless you've got, there's ways to do it, but it's very hard. So it's
very hard to do that in any business, Preston.
Oh, absolutely.
So it's always good. I think you're missing one other component, and that's the 4th component, and that is the exit strategy component.
Right. Right.
That is, and that's one of the things that I've seen and experienced in the last few years. Those guys that I taught 20 years ago are now coming to conferences and saying to me, Kevin, now I'm getting to the point where I'd really like to get out of my business. How do I create an exit strategy?
Right.
And those things have to be put in place. You've got to have systems there. You've got to be able to have a seller come in or a buyer come in, of your business and be able to look at it and feel good about it. You've got to have all of that bookkeeping in place and the marketing tools in place and the training systems in place.
Right.
So
that's a lot. Like the E-Myth book is a lot. If you read the E-Myth, that's a lot of straight. Yeah,
you got to work on your business and not in it all the time. So you got to look at it from a top-down perspective and see it the way somebody else would look at it. and it'll be way more valuable. I'll tell you, when I sold Inspection Training Associates, it was a big overview process by a big company. I mean, Kaplan is a division of the Washington Post.
Right.
And so if you think they just came in and wrote me a check, you're mistaken. They came in and put me through the ringer and analyzed every part of my business.
Right.
And so that is important for inspectors, you and even single person shops. If you're getting ready to exit, you'd better have all those systems in place and be able to show that prospective buyer how your business runs, how you run it, and how it's growing and how it's being marketed, and all of those marketing systems you've got in place to generate more referrals from all your past clients. And you gotta have that stuff.
No, you're exactly right, and you gotta your business will run a lot more efficiently if you run it with the idea that you're going to sell it one day. I think it'll force you to, it's like we're talking about selling our house, and I'm forced to clean it. You know what you do when you clean it. You sell your house, and it's the same thing with your business. You keep it tidy, you clean it, you paint those shutters, and you do all that stuff. And if you think that way, you keep it that way all the time. Well, Kevin, one thing that bothers me. Wait a minute. I'm sorry, I skipped one. And I know you've seen this. Have you ever seen home inspectors thrown under the bus by a contractor? I know I have.
Oh my God, my entire life. I was thrown under the bus all the time. That was one of the things that I would always be talking to big groups of inspectors or real estate agents about. They're not going to be, they're not going to really be on your side. They don't even know you.
Right. Do you have
any? Just came out. And there's, go ahead, ask your question. I've got all kinds of things I could tell you.
I know you could go so many different directions. I know if we get telling stories,
sure,
it would be all night. But my question is, do you have any? And I know it can never be fully prevented, but what could inspectors do to hedge this a little bit or prevent it as much as possible? Any suggestions?
First off, do a great inspection.
Sure.
Just make sure that you're doing the work that you're supposed to be doing and documenting it the way that you should be documenting it. And because later on, if that ever happens, where and the worst for me, I always hated when the buyer would say, "Hey, my Uncle George came out and told me that the furnace was installed incorrectly or whatever," and my response back to them was, hey, make sure that Uncle George puts that in writing, because I put my opinion in writing. And then later on, when you have problems with it, you can go back to Uncle George. So, so the hedge to it, I don't think that there's going to be a hedge for all of it. Contractors are contractors. They're looking for work. They're going to generate whatever work they can. And unfortunately, many people like to make themselves look good at the expense of other people.
Yeah, you're absolutely correct. Unfortunately, you're absolutely correct.
Unfortunately. Now, one of the things that we did with the Homeowners Network site is we made a section for inspectors to put all their own contractor referrals or services that they like, their favorites. We put that into the site so that when their clients go on to find a contractor onto the Homeowners Network, they'll see all of Preston's favorite contractors in his area. So now at least you can get those contractors in front of your clients if they need them. Oh,
good, cool.
Yeah.
Well, Kevin, this question, it's a little bit like that one, but it's a little bit different. One thing that bothers me, Kevin, is that contractors come out and use fear to sell the buyer something they may or may not need. Mold contractors are one of the worst. Sometimes the inspector gets caught up in this, that the contractor will falsely say, your inspector should have caught that. Now, sometimes it's true, but a lot of times it's false, just like you said. They're looking for work. It also seems that more and more liability is being put on the inspector. Other professions like realtors have a strong lobby. does it worry you? And I know some of the associations are but does it worry you we don't have a strong lobby and maybe we are getting more liability put on us? Do you have any ideas on this?
Well, our job was as a liability shield.
Right.
I mean, that's what I told you. The main reason that home inspectors and home inspections became popular was because real estate agents and sellers were given a duty to disclose everything that they knew about the property. And real estate agents actually, in the California law, it says they are supposed to inspect and disclose anything that they see or know about the property. So they then said, wait a minute, here's a whole bunch of guys calling themselves home inspectors who will take that liability.
Right.
So our job started as a risk job to begin with. So if you came into the business thinking that you were not going into a risky business, you were incorrect. That's right. What you took. You took on somebody else's risk, basically.
Right.
So now that then goes back to, again, knowing what you're doing, having the best education possible. And I was in the business. My whole world and my real success was in the education business. I taught probably close to 15,000 people the inspection business over the last 30 years.
Wow.
And so this was always a good big talk for me to my students, and that was understand the business that you're going into, understand how to do the work, and understand the standard of care. Every time you take a step over the standard of care, you put yourself into more risk.
Right. Right.
You know what I mean? So if you are going into tell somebody that, hey, this is mold or whatever, you'd better be contracting with them for that part of the service. So right. I'm not a believer. I'm not the kind of person who says don't take risk. I love risk, but I am the person that says define what that risk is and the responsibility that you're willing to take with your client.
Right.
Do you get what I mean?
Absolutely. No,
right. If you're doing a home inspection, great. Let's do a home inspection and let's define what standard of care that is. Then, if I'm going to do mold testing, let's have another contract that defines that. If I'm going to do something else, let's have another contract that defines that. All those things would be outside of the typical scope of a home inspection.
Right.
So just be clear on what you're doing and define that to your clients.
So maybe set expectations too.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
Well,
without that being done, your clients don't know what you are supposed to be doing. Nobody's taken any courses that tell them what a home inspector's job is, other than home inspectors.
That's right, and I've been guilty of this. We assume they know what the standards of practice are, but they don't. They don't. You need to say
no. How could they?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
In the beginning, Preston, the work that you and I do, it was supposed to be like you're putting the house through a sieve, and any major problems were supposed to turn up.
Right.
And that's really what our job was. If there's a big structural problem, we would find that. If there was a, electrical issue, we would find that. Heating system old, out of date, we would find that. But then we started getting more and more pressure on us day by day. And we did that ourselves a lot because we would report that the screens were missing, or we would report that, there was flooring damaged, or we started to do things and add more and more expectations to our work. I think that we just got to be clear as to what our work actually is when we start.
And have you seen the size or the number of pages of the report increase? I know I have from when I started.
Oh, God, yeah. Yes. There was a point in time when ITA had probably the most popular inspection report in the nation. And every year, all the users would ask for more and more things to be added to it.
Yeah, and it just gets bigger and bigger. I mean, our report. I apologize to real estate agents, but I'm like, it's just gotten to this, and you got to protect yourself as well.
Well, and really, what are you saying? I mean, are you just saying what's wrong there, or are you trying to disclaim your way out of liability?
Right. Well, yeah. I mean, yes and no. I mean, I see what you're saying.
The paragraphs get longer when all you really needed to say was, "I saw a problem," or "I didn't," or "that was out of the scope."
Right. Well, the problem, North Carolina. I'm in North Carolina. We're licensed, and we have to DDID, which is like you have to describe, identify, and then say what might happen if they don't get. And I don't agree with it, but it's the law that I live with. I mean, it just gets so it gets to the point where we're telling how to repair something. When in my mind, I can't take responsibility for somebody else's repair. They have to take responsibility. Sure.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's definitely been something that I've seen change over 30 years. When I started, there were no rules or regulations or license for home inspectors in the nation. And state by state, it's swept over, some are over the top, and some still have nothing.
Right.
So, you got to take what you got and set up your systems and your delivery to satisfy that first, and then just make sure that whatever you're doing over and above that, you are defining to your clients and setting their expectation properly.
Sure. Good stuff. Well, Kevin, I want to ask your opinion on something. I am sometimes bothered by what I see on forums and social media sometimes. There's some great people out there, such as yourself, that are always willing to help and always positive. However, there are some folks out there that want to tell you how much they know and how much you don't know. And, it just, to me, it doesn't look good for the profession. And, I've seen it break. In fact, we've shared some. Nobody wants to be a bad inspector, and I don't think anybody knows it all. Do you have any ideas how we can keep it positive and professional?
Well, first off, I'm a big believer in getting the most education and the best education that you can. So I've always believed that everywhere I go, every session I sit in on, I pick up something.
Sure.
So, and then being open to helping any other professional in our industry. So, I grew up in the time of there was just a very few of us, maybe half a dozen in San Diego, and we all started and we were all struggling and we were all helping each other.
Right.
And so that's where I'm at. I mean, I believe that if I'm friends with my competition and helping them instead of bashing them, that we'll both do better. So I want to elevate them. And always be concentrating on providing the best service that I can for whoever I'm working for. And that's kind of where I'm at.
Good stuff. All right, Kevin. Now remember, this is a G-rated show, according to what I told iTunes. So keep that in mind when you ask you this question. What is the craziest / wildest / weirdest, one of the three or all the above, you have ever found on a home inspection? What's the craziest thing you've ever found?
Oh my God.
And remember, it can't be, I got to keep my iTunes reading.
Yeah, because I have that. I have those crazy ones that aren't G-rated.
Yeah, I'm sure you do. We all do. Hey, I see you at a conference over Brewski.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you those stories.
Yeah.
Well, I was working in California, as you know, so we're pretty liberal with the marijuana, and I found plenty of grow facilities in houses, in attics, and in bedrooms. So those were probably some of the wildest things I've seen. Oh, here's a good one. So this is, I'm trying to make this as quick as I can. So I'm at the office. It was my day off. I wasn't scheduled for any inspections, and one of my inspectors called in sick, and so I had to take his inspection. Well, of course, I didn't have my overalls with me, and of course, it was a raised foundation, so I had to do a crawl.
Right.
So I get to this house, and it was a little old lady who had died, and they were selling it. And
state sale.
Yeah, and so I'm like, oh my God, I don't have my overalls, and in Southern California, we wore shorts a lot. That was kind of our uniform when we did inspections.
Right.
So anyway, I said, I really, I'll have to go under the house. And the agent goes, well, here, let me get something for you to put on. So she brings me out this little old lady's overcoat, like a house robe.
Right.
She goes, she won't need this. You can wear this so you don't get all dirty. So I'm like, okay. So I crawl under the house wearing this little old lady's robe, and I'm under there for probably 25 minutes. Come crawling back out the hole, the access hole, and the agent has like a half a dozen people there because she wanted to take pictures of me in this robe as I'm coming out all dirty.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah.
Nice. I was afraid you're going to tell me there was some marijuana in the pocket or something.
No.
Yeah, I was like, well, I'm suddenly hungry all of a sudden.
Yeah. So that went around the real estate office after office. They just passed that picture around like crazy.
Yeah.
Like me, because I had shorts on. It looked like I had nothing on but the lady's robe. So.
You need to put that on Facebook. Send that to me. I'll put it on your bio there. Well, Kevin, do you have an internet or a training resource or an app or something like that? Well, it's on, obviously, but do you have an internet or app or some sort of resource inspectors that our listeners you'd be willing to share with? Or some sort of app that you enjoy using?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Or training or...
Yeah, mostly I think one of the little known resources out there is hanprofessional.com, and that's your guys have that app on their phone to ask their questions, but the actual website has got classes. It's got risk assessment tests on it, which are really cool. I think every inspector should go through and take all of those risk assessment tests before you as a owner could use them to train your inspectors. So that's the one that I would push at the moment.
Cool. Well, this question, and we're winding down here. I'm sorry I've kept you so long, but I know our listeners are very appreciative. Kevin, you obviously know a lot about the home inspection business, so I think you could answer this question as if you were still a home inspector. If you were a home inspector and you had to start over in a brand new town, which is, you've done before, but equal to the size of the one that you were in, and so you're starting over in a brand new town, you don't know anybody, you're going to start a home inspection business, you already have all your equipment, you already have all the knowledge that you currently have, and you have $5,000. What are you going to do in the first week? Just broad strokes, not down to the penny or anything like that. So what would you do with that $5,000 in the first week to start a new home inspection business?
Wow. So I'm already trained, and I've already got all my tools, and I've bought everything that I need.
Right, and room and board's taken care of too, by the way.
Yeah. So really, I'm just trying to use that $5,000 to seed my business and get my marketing going.
Yeah.
Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, probably. What are you getting the most ROI on your $5,000? What? That's kind of what it's designed to,
Sure. Well, first off, you're probably going to have to create some kind of paper look to your business, meaning you're going to have brochures, you're going to have business cards, you're going to have something that you can hand out, right?
Right.
Otherwise, doing whatever, you've still got, even the internet is not going to cover your personal meeting with people, you still got to have cards and brochures and things like that. So I'm going to have those as professionally made as possible. But then I'm going to spend my time and effort doing my networking. So I'm going to try to meet as many people as I possibly can, as fast as I can. So networking groups, those kinds of things are valuable in the beginning.
Right. No, I'm with you.
So
I think that's great.
I'd have to sit and actually look at the whole process, but marketing, it's a long-term race. It's not send out 1,000 brochures and get 10 jobs.
Yeah.
You're brand new, and you're going to have to be known, because our business is a trust-based business.
Right.
And people need to know you before they will trust you.
Excellent advice. No, you're dead on it. Well, Kevin, is there anything that I should have asked you that I didn't ask you?
Gosh, that's a great question. No. Maybe about the inspection conference. The inspection conference in Vegas is still alive. It's still alive. It's every October. It's in Las Vegas. This will be the 22nd year that show has been going on. And I will be there, and I'll be speaking there, and tons and tons of my students will be there, and lots of other inspectors. And so it's a viable show. It's still going, and it's going to have great education and great fun, like you like to have.
It was awesome. I was there. They gave away a motorcycle by the what's the guy's name? The guy on TV.
The Orange County Chopper guy.
Yeah. Paul Senior, right?
Yep.
Everybody had a chance to win, and boy, when they drew that number, I was disappointed I didn't win, but my wife was happy.
Me too. I was sad I wasn't eligible as a vendor. That was a great bike. Would you like to do that, the car racing again?
Oh, that was awesome. Yeah. That was fun.
Wasn't it?
Go-kart track.
The go-kart track.
You to give all the listeners an idea, what happened was we all met that evening, and I think you had buses that took us over there. And we all rode, and it was a good time because it was a way, I got to talk to a lot of inspectors, and it was just kind of I don't know how to explain it. I've remembered it ever since. I haven't ever done anything quite like that with a group of inspectors. And,
it was like a bunch of big kids, wasn't it?
Yeah, I thought about doing it with my own inspectors, but I got to look into the liability issues there.
Don't live your life worrying about liability, Preston.
I hear you. Well, Kevin, we're almost done here. I actually just have one more question, and it is there any question you'd like to ask me?
Ask you?
Yeah. Is there any question?
What has been your favorite or most successful marketing tool?
Oh, wow. That's a good question. My favorite or most successful? Well, I should say my flyers because I promote those. But that's such a tough question because I think it's a combination of things. I'm not trying to cop out of this question, but I know when you do flyers or brochures, I've always heard you need to track them so that you see what your response is on this particular one. Kind of like the direct mail.
Yeah.
But Kevin, I've never thought of it that way. I've always thought of it as, like you were saying, one time isn't going to do it. You've got to get them in multiple times, multiple ways, multiple touches. So my answer is to not really answer in the fact that I don't think there's one thing. You got to do many things.
Gosh, you know what? I thought for sure that you were going to talk about your pants.
You teed it up.
I teed it up, and you just totally missed it.
Yeah, well, okay, the pants. I do wear the crazy golf pants. I think the first time I wore them, it's kind of like a dare or a bet. and people remember you. And I've gotten inspections. People, I can't tell you how many times somebody sent an email, or basically I'm known as the crazy pants guy. Who do you want for an inspection? That dude with the crazy pants. And it always works when you do presentations because people remember you. The only time
I almost do you have your guys wear those?
Oh, I wish. I can barely. We do the pink shirts for breast cancer awareness. I can barely get to wear the pink shirts. I have to threaten.
I almost think that would have been like the best over the top kind of a thing to have every one of your guys wearing those crazy pants.
I might need to do that, kind of like the Norwegian, the Norwegian, what are they, the icing team or whatever. No, that is good stuff. I will have to tell you one time though, it didn't work. You go to the sales meetings or whatever, and you get to speak, and a lot of times there's the termite guys there, the mortgage guys there, the warranty or the home warranty or whatever, and you're all getting to speak. So that's part of the pants. I want to be remembered, and so one time I had to go behind Killingsworth here as Bandit, the termite sniffing dog, and doggone it. How they say don't go after a kid or animal act.
Yeah.
So I get up there, right, and it's like, so they bring Bandit out. Well, before they bring Bandit out, they take like this little jar of termites and they had him to hide it somewhere in this lady's purse or something. And then they bring the dog out and he's sniffing all around. And he goes right to it, and of course everybody's just no Bandit. And then it's my turn. I'm like, I got nothing. I got pants. That's it. So the next time I saw that guy, I was like, I'm going before you, buddy. I am not going after you. Sorry. But anyway, on that note, Kevin, you've been more than gracious with your time, and I know our listeners appreciate it. You dropped a whole lot of golden nuggets, taught us some history that I think all of us should know. Tell us more about how we can get in touch with you or find out more about your services you offer. How can we get in touch with you, Kevin?
Well, if you go on to the Homeowners Network site, so homeownersnetwork.com, and then you scroll all the way to the bottom of that website, you will find in the black section, it's there's how to sign up as a referring professional. So that's one way. You can call our office at 866-211-4662. You know what? I'm these days I'm always trying to get people to actually call and talk to us because I'm trying to bring live support back.
Right. Yeah.
I think everybody's relying too much on the internet and everybody's relying too much on technology. And I think that personal service goes a long, long way. So we're happy to talk to anybody about using our service. All those inspectors who've already signed up, they've got a lot of great bonuses ahead of them. Like I told you, the recall alerts is free now to all the inspectors who've already signed up. And I'm hoping that makes a big difference in their business in the coming year. And,
okay.
So, or email me, komalley@homeownersnetwork.com.
All right. Well, Kevin, thank you so much, and we appreciate it, and we'll catch you on the flip side.
Thanks, Preston. It's been fun.
Thank
I appreciate it.
You have been listening to the Successful Home Inspector podcast, where we share funny stories and we talk about how to increase your business, and we share some success stories and some not so success stories that we can learn from. We're also here to share resources. You can find out more about today's show in show notes at the successfulhomeinspector.com. Thanks for listening.